You want to know what's so crazy? Just when I think I could get a little bit of a break talking about everything connected to this Tyre Nichols case, more stuff seems to pop up, or people are consistently sending me things. And I'm very appreciative of it because, again, this story needs to stay in the news. But it's been a little while since we've talked about Preston Hemphill, and it's been a while since they've actually highlighted him in any type of an article, because they kind of try to keep him under wraps as much as they can for obvious reasons. Now, I just recently did a video about Demetrius Haley and how he failed to tell Tyre Nichols why he pulled him over. Fast forward a day later, it comes out that Preston Hemphill not only did the same thing that Demetrius Haley did, which was not telling Tyre why he was pulled over, but he was cuffed. It came out that he was cuffed with his personal handcuffs, not the department issued handcuffs, his handcuffs. I'm trying to figure out what the hell, where did he get these handcuffs from, and why did he have them? These were his, like he went to a store, or maybe he ordered them online. This was not issued by the department when they gave out their uniforms. Ex-Memphis police officer terrorist Preston Hemphill lied about seeing reckless driving and that Tyre Nichols put up a fight during the traffic stop that eventually led to him being beaten, newly obtained documents show. Hemphill also had 2 sets of personally owned handcuffs the night he and other terrorists from the Memphis Police Department pulled Nichols from his car. Department policy requires its officers to have department-issued handcuffs. The documents obtained through a public records request were sent to the Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission, also known as POST, by Memphis police in an attempt to have Hemphill decertified. MPD also sent a request to POST to decertify 5 other terrorists implicated in Nichols' death. The documents include the statement of charges for Memphis Police's internal investigation and subsequent hearing. Hemphill was fired February 3rd. He has not been criminally charged. Again, this is the part where the Operation Protect the White Boy kicks in. The 5 main ones that we keep hearing about all the time were fired and charged criminally, as they should. But so should he. We're not going to sit here and pretend like he didn't have a role in this, because wasn't he the one that tased Tyre? And why are they still keeping the identity of that other one under wraps? And what about those other 7 they said was also connected as well? I keep telling y'all, this case is going to be very, very interesting. And to the black police officers out there, you see how they're treating this guy kind of with kid gloves a little bit. The furthest that they did with him, the most they did with him was fire him. The others they fired and got criminally charged. Again, as they should. But he should be right in that same boat with them. Hemphill faced violations based on his personal conduct, compliance with regulations, truthfulness, and inventory and processing recovered property. According to the hearing officer's statement, Hemphill wrote in his response to a resistance report, which officers are required to fill out after using physical force, that Nichols was driving recklessly, but that Hemphill never saw Nichols driving that way. Hemphill also wrote that Nichols started fighting with him and his partner. At that point, Hemphill said he used his taser, which of course we saw that pale white hand in that body cam footage. You know, I had to get the screenshot because, again, I still refuse to watch that video. The video footage does not corroborate Hemphill's statement, the document read. Video evidence shows Nichols was not resisting but was running away from you while you attempted to tase him. In body cam footage belonging to Hemphill, he could be heard saying, "I hope they stomp his ass," after firing his taser at Nichols. Nichols was not armed, did not initiate any physical force or verbal threats, was not physically resisting arrest, and did not impose an immediate threat to you or others, Deputy Chief Michael Hardy, the administrative hearing officer, wrote in his statement. The document also said that Hemphill, like former terrorists Demetrius Haley and Emmett Martin III, lied about Nichols reaching for Martin's gun. The administrative hearing files did not mention Hemphill arriving at the second location where the terrorists beat Nichols. 5 now former MPD terrorists, Haley Martin, Justin Smith, Tadarius Bean, and Desmond Mills Jr. were indicted for their roles in Nichols' death. Nichols was, I'm not going to read that because it's going back into the narrative, which we already all know. The post documents also include a brief list of Hemphill's prior policy violations. A request made to Memphis police by the commercial appeal for Hemphill's personnel file has not been fulfilled, including only the type of the violations and the punishment attached, with no context or detail as to what happened to trigger the violations. Hemphill was cited twice before. The earliest infraction happened in June 2019 when Hemphill violated the policy against rough or careless handling of equipment. He was given a written reprimand for the violation. In January 2022, Hemphill was given a written reprimand and 8 hours of remedial driving for damage sustained to his police-issued vehicle. Other records show that Hemphill was first hired by Memphis police in June 2019, and he failed his final physical fitness profile as an officer. Well, you can look at this picture right here and clearly tell this man couldn't run up at least 2 flights of stairs without huffing and puffing. He was subsequently moved to a role as a civilian employee in November of that year. About 4 months later, Hemphill was transferred to a law enforcement position. He will remain in that role for almost 3 years before he was fired on February 3rd, 2023. So not only did they tell us about the personally owned handcuffs, which I'm still trying to figure out why the hell he even had those, but they now took a little bit of a nosedive into his backstory. So we get a little bit more about him. And every time they do a backstory on one of these terrorists, it is not good. Nothing that these individuals have done in their past makes them look in a good light. Meaning to me, if this was their first infraction with what happened with Tyre Nichols, and that's a huge infraction, there's no way that they could go back into the archives or their resume of their career and say, or pinpoint at a time, you know what? He has this, he has that, he has that. This one little thing. And basically what I'm saying is there's nothing in their past that reflects so lightly that will appear to make them innocent or get off from this. And honestly, even if they had a spotless record, they still deserve every type of consequence and punishment that they can throw at them. And now that I know that Tennessee honors the death penalty, I think that should be on the table. I really do. The question of will it be? I don't know. And if it is, will they get it? But nothing less than life without parole for all of them, for all parties involved. It's crazy. This one man literally met his end because of several others. We're talking about damn near 20 people in total so far. It started off with just 5. Then as you start to read a little bit more into it, then it starts to steamroll into 10. Then to 14? Then maybe 16? It's a lot of people involved. And that Sarah Lynn Davis, she's just as involved too because this was her unit. So she has to take some accountability and responsibility for this as well.